your college name and then your own name. For example, Ethos Foundation Archer, so that we know where you are from and also can identify you easily. Thank you. And if you are from a firm, you can name your firm.
Hi, Vaishnavi. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you can hear me fine. Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
Really
hi,
nice
hi.
to see a lot of familiar faces as well, and nice to see so many people joining.
Yeah, Swati, you'll be starting soon.
Yeah, sure. And then, Vaishnavi, you'll give me sharing rights, right, at some point.
Yeah, yeah, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No, I'm not disturbing you, no?
Hi, Geeta. Good to see you.
Hey, Swati. Nice. Yeah. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Listen to you.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I will start the recording now. Thank you.
Achal, let's just check if Team Titan's here.
Yes.
Vaishnavi, can you confirm?
Yes, yes.
Hi, Geeta, Anand this side.
Anand is here. Good.
So Ritika is joining in a minute. I'm just checking with her. She's on another call. Yeah.
Right, sure. So then we can get started, Achal.
Yes.
And Sanjita, you will also do the needful of broadcasting it, I guess.
Yes.
Sanjita, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go.
The live stream is started.
Yes, it's done.
So yeah, good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome on behalf of Ethos Foundation and Titan Company Limited. Thank you all for joining us today, many from different classrooms, and grateful to all those colleges who have kind of come on board and are beaming it in their respective seminar halls and auditoriums. We're really glad to have all of you at this orientation session for the Design Impact Movement. Design is not just about aesthetics or utility. It's a powerful tool for equity, empathy, and systemic change. This belief is what drives most of what we do at Ethos, and it kind of aligns perfectly with the Design Impact Movement promoted by the Titan Company Limited. And Ethos is the program support partner for the Design Impact Movement when it concerns at least the community of architects here. It empowers young minds. The movement is meant to empower young minds to transform bold ideas into real-world solutions through mentorship, prototyping support, and meaningful collaboration. In today's session, we'll be taking you through the program overview, the flow of the initiative. There are many here who have joined and who already registered into the program, so you'll get to know what is in store. And most importantly, you'll get to hear about the inspiring journeys of two incredible designers and social innovators, Swati Janu and young Gunrag Talwar. At the Ethos Foundation, we've had the privilege of supporting change makers who began with the spark of an idea and went on to create meaningful impact. Gunrag is one of our young social entrepreneurs in that sense. Innovators like Siddhant Shah, who created a one-point solution for all accessibility and inclusion needs. Mianzi, a bamboo initiative for mobility and lifestyle venture, reimagining everyday products with sustainable materials. And of course, Gunrag will share his journey with you. We are excited to continue nurturing ideas like these through the Design Impact Movement. Really grateful to Team Titan for choosing us as partners, and will introduce you to Ritika, who is the Deputy Group Manager CSR at Titan Company Limited, who will take you through a little presentation which will tell you what this movement, Design Impact Movement, is all about. Over to you, Ritika.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. Hi. So, Geeta, where all do we have students joining from? Just to get a context.
Really from all across. We have Andhra University, which is Vizag, AMS, which is Chennai. I saw someone from Jammu here, I know. So it's really from everywhere across India. Himmat Bhatia sir is from Chandigarh. No, not Chandigarh, actually, Jalandhar. So there are a bunch of people, Rajkot.
So, do we have architects as well as engineers, or it's primarily
This,
architecture?
I think, would be largely architects and designers, maybe a few, but largely the architect
All
community.
right. Okay. Okay. So let me just take you through the architecture of design impact. We started this initiative, essentially design being a core value at Titan. It's one of the strongest, pillars for Titan to emerge, as a company to this place where it is right now. This is an effort. Design impact is an effort to bring design for the social domain. How do we bring that value for social domain? And that was the vision of our board. And Design Impact Initiative was conceived in 2017, and we launched the program of Design Impact Awards, which is essentially grants. These are large grants that are provided to startups in specific areas. This edition we had focus on water. So the Design Impact Initiative has two programs, the awards, which essentially, like I mentioned, are large grants, and these grants are provided in a manner that it is a projectized sort of a spend. It is provided with milestones as well as with the incubation support. These guys are pretty successful. They've already piloted in the market. What we help them do is scale up in new geographies, perhaps find new partnerships, collaborations with governments, especially in the space of water. That's very key. So our grants help them discover like a new pathway for their enterprises and grow. Right. And while we did this, Design Impact Awards, and we had first edition, then second edition, there was a feeling that we had, wherein we wanted more and more people to take up social design and also keep it an open platform. Awards is essentially for people, and we get large number of application pools, and then we select from there. And it is, in a sense, a truncating process, right? So not everybody gets the grant. But movement is a platform wherein there's a lot of knowledge sharing. There's a lot of facilitation of mentorship and an opportunity provided for anyone to actually dirty their hands into this domain of social design, right, and get that experience. So movement was launched during 2020, around when the COVID hit, and this was launched with online resources. We have an open platform where anyone can access these resources with a simple sign up. There is a there's a human-centered design module on our platform, which one can go through and which is specially curated for social design. Then there are also master classes on social entrepreneurship, which are again originally curated for this purpose by various leaders. Movement in a sense is meant for starting the journey on this part of social design, and awards actually takes you to further scale up your enterprises. So we can move Right. And I kind of covered this. Design Impact Movement, thus, is a social initiative aimed at fostering an ecosystem that supports design for social needs. And in that, we basically work with a lot of partners. We work with IM, we work with Tinker Labs, we work with Ethos Foundations, we work with InUnity, we work with Proto Village. So there are a lot of partners that come together to offer their expertise in making this happen. So what are the guiding principles, right, of the movement? The first being that it is open and inclusive. It's an open platform, and there are curated resources that anyone can access and start their journeys. Second, it's a support ecosystem for designers, entrepreneurs, innovators, uh, and it's kind of a sort of a networking and peer learning experiences that we facilitate through this journey, whoever comes in. And third, and most important being, it's in alignment with the SDGs, social development goals, anything that helps society, anything that helps environment, an idea that could improve, your hyper local issues or even national issues is something that we support. We can move down. So, one of the most important, initiative under the Design Impact Movement is NEST. NEST is National Entrepreneurship Program for Social Transformation. And we launched it this year. Right now, as we speak, we have a camp going on in IIM Kolkata. This is in collaboration with IIM Kolkata Innovation Park. Now, what is NEST? NEST is actually an incubation support program for early stage startups. Now, if you have an idea and a prototype, you can apply for NEST. And that is what we would like you to aim next year. Through this effort, you develop a project and, you come up with an interesting solution that the market needs, the community might need, right? And then pitch your idea to NEST, and NEST will help you make an enterprise out of it. NEST will take you to market. So NEST is essentially, 6 + 6 months plus full-time incubation support, which helps you create a business plan around your idea. Also helps you, technically improve your prototype, and helps you, create your business plan and pilot it in the market. So these are the various offerings of the NEST program, wherein there is IMC that provides you mentorship, and there are workshops that happen there. We also have a residential workshop, which actually is a very life-changing sort of an experience, wherein you basically go through a lot of experiential activities, which help you deal with your fears, ambiguity. How do you really collaborate and build teams? How do you build? How do you talk to community and things like that, which help you become a social entrepreneur? So that also happens under NEST. That's the first thing that happens. And then we have 3 boot camps that happen at IMC. Then there is prototyping support, the business plan creation and pitching. And NEST provides seed grants for selected teams of up to 10 lakhs. Vaishnavi, you can go back, please. So there is a seed grant that is provided under NEST, which you must aim for eventually, and that's up to 10 lakhs, and then there is a fellowship stipend or mentorship in some sense that is provided for you to avail this seed grants as well, and of course your access to IMC and other funding network beyond this. You can move. So what are we doing with Ethos, right? Like I mentioned, we have multiple partners, and the core of the program being NEST, and we would like you to apply for it next year. for you to actually develop a project which makes sense, right? Which is well researched and well thought through, which has inputs from community. Uh, be partner with these partners to do ecosystem development, right? So to help you and facilitate you with workshops and mentorship to develop your projects. And hence, so you can, take your projects and ideas and products forward. So it requires human-centered design thinking. It requires prototyping support. It requires problem statement definition, and and hence you can pitch to Nest. Yeah, we can move on. So yes, you can start your journey by actually signing up on Design Impact Movement, and Geeta's team will be with you to take your projects forward. It's a very meaningful and sort of a deeper journey that you go through with Design Impact Movement and Ethos Foundation, and that should support you take your ideas forward. Over to you, Geeta. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you, Ritika. Pooja will now take you through the rest of the morning. Pooja Ugrani. Yeah.
Thank you, Ritika. Thank you, Geeta, for that thoughtful introduction to the Design Impact Movement. The movement reflects a shared vision, one where design is not just a profession, but a tool for social change. To take this forward, I now invite Vaishnavi, Program Manager at Ethos Foundation, to guide you through the structure of the initiative, how it unfolds in phases, what opportunities it holds for students and educators. Over to you, Vaishnavi.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hope you got the introduction of the what Design Impact is. So, moving on to the structure. Yeah, Achal, can you move to the next slide? Yes. Moving on to the structure, the Design Impact Movement is structured into 5 thoughtful phases, each designed to support participants at different stages of their idea development. So our journey kicks off in August with early ideation and problem framing through participant interaction. And after that, there will be an online cohort in the August itself. There will be an online cohort based on thematic ideas, like similar ideas will be grouped into different groups and mentors will be guiding them online. Which is then followed by the most important session of the Design Impact Movement, which is the hands-on in-person workshops in 4 different cities, which will happen during September and October. After the workshop, our team will be in continuous support with the participants, with any guidance you need online. So there will be WhatsApp channels created, and you can ask for our guidance as in where you are at the prototype and what you are doing. After that, there will be another expert online mentorship, which resumes in December and January, which will be the last phase of your prototype development. So, and then you can, prototype development as in, you don't go on the word, but it is a low fidelity prototype, which is something like a wireframe, a small material innovation, or anything on that basis. So that will be leading to the submission of a low fidelity prototype in March 1st. So through this entire process, students and professionals will move from identifying real-world problems and challenges and then going to the low fidelity prototypes, all through guided sessions, feedback loops, and even community engagement from our team. So moving on to the next slide, Achal. All this initiative supports the idea and address of real-world and social issues throughout India. Participants will receive, like I said, expert mentorship, hands-on prototype support, and national level recognition. These opportunities will also be showcased as top prototypes will be showcased on a national level platforms and attractive rewards for winners. So the top 2 participants will receive a cash prize of 25,000 and certificates also, and certificates for participation will also be given. So all the faculty that is present here, they will be invited. They will be invited to join the exclusive Design Impact Privilege Group. So these faculties are the ones who will nominate the students, and the students who move forward in the mentorship, the top students, those faculties only will be invited to exclusive LinkedIn privilege groups. And additionally, they will receive a certificate of participation and appreciation of whoever has participated in the process. So, summarizing everything together, we can drive this change through design. So please share this opportunity to reach innovative minds and also help them develop new ideas and change the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishnavi, for that detailed overview of the session. Now that we have a clear understanding of the program structure, we're excited to hear from a young innovator who also started with just an idea. It's now my pleasure to introduce the one such visionary, the founder of Social Design Collaborative, Swati Janu, an architect, activist, and artist who works on issues of social justice, from housing rights to participatory planning. Her interdisciplinary practice combines community engagement with policy advocacy across Indian cities. I now welcome Swati Janu to share her journey of starting a social enterprise and insights about design innovation with us today.
Thank you, Pooja.
Welcome, Swati.
Thanks. In the beginning, when you said young innovator, I thought you were talking about Gunrag. I didn't realize you were talking about me. Well, thank you for that. I think perhaps what we define as young, the age, I think gap, the age
She's
sort of
comparing to me, Swati.
Geeta, we are still young. I put myself in the same bracket as you.
Okay.
Okay, so let me share my presentation. Okay. Pooja, do you need me to get rid of any windows, or can you see the whole screen?
We can see the whole screen.
Okay, okay. There are no boxes floating around, I hope. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm here to talk about cycles, flowers, and books. So I can imagine that this is an orientation session. So you must be thinking about what would you like to work on. Perhaps some of you already have ideas and others are wondering what they would like to work on exactly. And I wanted to really start with the basics. If you're thinking about designing for social change, if you're thinking about design impact, the first thing to think about, really, to introspect about, is what are you curious about? I think that's a great starting point. And what do you care about? In my case, it was cities, perhaps because of my architectural training. I really like the energy and the space that is created by people in our cities, in our very vibrant cities. And specifically, I wanted to start by talking about cycles, flowers, and books. Three things I loved about Delhi when I was your age, when I was really young. So when I was in my 20s, I was an avid cyclist. Now I think it's a bit harder. Also, to cycle in Delhi, you have to really be a daredevil. It's a very aggressive city. The roads are very rough, very dangerous for cyclists. And I would cycle to work. And also, over time, I started thinking that instead of cycling on the road, it would be so nice if we could cycle through parks. Delhi has a lot of urban forests, parks. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just cut across them? Because today we're not allowed to cycle through any park except for Lodi Garden, for those of you who are familiar with Delhi. And there was a competition. I think there was a urban level competition at that point. And I think competitions like this, like the design impact competition, really motivate young people to be able to articulate, and also provides you a bit of motivation. Well, deadlines are a great motivation to then take those seeds of ideas forward. And that's what happened in my case. And then I started cycling further and further around the city, but possibly couldn't make the whole network on my own. And then got in touch with the Delhi Cycling Club. And with them, we started sort of populating, what this network could look like on the map a bit more accurately than just conceptually. And we also ended up meeting the Chief Minister of Delhi, who was at that point Sheila Dikshit. So I think as a 25-year-old, to be thinking about such a proposal, and then being able to meet the chief minister and talk about this idea to people who are really impacted directly by it, the cyclists in the city, I think was a great starting point for me personally, and that's what I wanted to share with you. And secondly, moving on to flowers. So Delhi used to have wholesale flower markets within the city. Again, those of you who might be familiar, these markets were in Old Delhi, they were in Mehrauli, and they were in Connaught Place on Baba Khadak Singh Bagh. But the government wanted to relocate them to outside the city, which was really unfortunate because these were just transient markets. They only popped up from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. every morning. And, the rest of the day, the public space, I mean, that space would change into something else. In Old Delhi, the flower market became a spice market during the day. In Connaught Place, it basically became a public space where people could sit about, hang around. And at night, also, it was a space where homeless people would sleep. And in Mehrauli, it was a thoroughfare. So at that point, when this was happening, I got in touch with Himanshu Verma, who's an artist and who's the founder of Red Earth, from where I've taken these pictures. And he was talking about preserving this heritage of the city. I worked with him on the research to be able to file a PIL in the High Court. Unfortunately, the relocation did take place, and today the flower markets are next to a landfill in Ghazipur, where also the slaughterhouses are. And again, I think it's important. If you care about these things, it's important that you try to do something about it. You might not always succeed, but I think there's great solidarity in finding people who are thinking the same way as you are, and then trying to do something about it. The third example is of books. I think by this time I was in my 30s, perhaps. And this is an older picture from the Daryaganj book market. Now, it's a beautiful market which has existed for over 50 years. It's considered a heritage market. And it pops up on the pavements of Old Delhi on Sundays. It's just a Sunday book market. At this point, what the government wanted to do, what the planning authorities wanted to do with the municipality is, again, relocate it and take it from the footpath, take it away from the pavement and move it to a dedicated space, a Mahila Haat, which is just 200 meters down the same road. Now, what we're losing in the process is the spontaneity that pavements offer, and also the fact that the market is along the way, right? So if you're just walking and maybe you haven't come to the market, it's not a destination, it's a part of your journey. And that's a great footfall for the booksellers. So at that time, they were struggling against this movement. And when I learned about it, I went there and I started helping them organize protests. They were already protesting, but also protests are important to be able to include the rest of the people. I mean, people from the rest of the city. And so I started getting in touch with other people who were also affected by this. We mobilized something on Facebook when Facebook was, still being used by young people. And these parchas that you can see, these pamphlets have been designed by Chitra Chandrasekhar, who's a designer, who's talking about the rights of street vendors and that they cannot just be relocated without consensus, without due process. And at that point, a lot of people joined hands from, younger people, from students who go to these, who used to go to this book market because that's where you get affordable books. To journalists, to historians, to activists, people like Sohail Hashmi joined forces. However, at that time, because of the pressure from the police, from the municipality, the street vendors, the booksellers had to agree to the relocation. And also there was a split by then, but in the group itself, because half of them agreed to, take this decision, accept this decision, and the other half were still protesting, and they kept protesting over the next few months as well. However, the relocation has also taken place. I mean, these are the structural ways in which our cities are changing, and that's also something to think about and perhaps also create a discourse about. But moving on, so what I want you to think about is what do you care about? And the next step is what can you do about it? If you see a problem, what can you do about it? We don't always have to wait for someone to do something about it. The government is not always able to, deal with the issues that we are facing. Someone is doodling, and or you see an opportunity and you want to do something about it. So these are the things to think about. But I think here I want to introduce a very important Venn diagram. which actually, if I thought about earlier, would have saved me a lot of pain, and I hope it can do the same for you. There is a whole, circle of things that you care about. Think about all the things you care about in the world, from world peace to perhaps, I don't know, cats. And then there are things that you can actually do something about. There are many things we can't do anything about. Today, you know what's happening in the world, but there are many things that you can do something about. And I think it's very important to identify this, I think, sweet spot, this area between this intersectional space between things that you care about, and there might be lots of things you care about you can't do anything about, and lots of things that you can do something about, but you don't really care about it. And this is where you want to work, because this is where you're the most effective. And trust me, this is where good mental health lies. And moving on, the next most important thing is, who can you do it with? Who are your people? Who's your tribe? Find your people. I believe that all of us are weird at some level, and it's really about finding your level of weird. So, maybe you're interested in sewage, and you ask the other person who you think might be also interested in sewage, and he might find it a bit weird because he'd be like, okay, no, I'm not interested in sewage. But, ask another person, and she might be interested in working on sewage treatment plants. I mean, that's what maybe she has been thinking about, or waste recycling. And I think this is very important because, we say DIY, do it yourself, but it's really most effective if you are DIT, doing it together with other people, like-minded people. And this is what happened with us. This is me in 2017, and that's me, and that's my friend Nidhi. And together we started working on rebuilding a school which had been demolished. This was a school for the children of farmers along the river Yamuna. Very few of us know that there is farming. There was farming along the river in Delhi. Delhi is one of the few cities to have urban farming at the heart of the city. And a school was demolished in one of the demolition drives by the Delhi Development Authority, because the farmers have come to be seen as encroachers, though previously they were legitimate, leaseholders who were farming there with leases, with permission. Over the years, over the decades, as the planning authority's aspirations and idea of what a world-class city is, shifted in that direction of wanting to be a world-class city, it stopped seeing farming, as a sustainable activity, and moved towards planning parks and cycling tracks and jogging tracks. And so a gentrification of the riverfront, of the floodplains, has taken place in Delhi. And so when the school was demolished, many farmers from the village approached the High Court and got permission, with the help of other activists and social workers, to rebuild the school. At which point, my friend Shakil had approached me, who's an activist himself, and asked if we can help design and rebuild a school. And as I started talking about it, and there was, they didn't have any funds. So as we started talking about it on social media, on Facebook, more and more people started joining hands with us. At that point, we also got support from Architecture in Development, which is another platform which was supporting, like-minded young individuals, such as me, and also Gunrag, because Gunrag has also been a recipient of the support from Architecture in Development in the past. It's an international platform, so please have a look after you're done with the design impact movement process, or it's good to be a part of many different platforms. Anyways, coming back to this, so as we started talking more about it, it snowballed into a movement where about 50 people joined hands with us. And not just the parents of the children, but also people from outside the community. Students. Gunrag was a first-year student when he joined hands with us. And I was really impressed with him, and I have been impressed since, seeing his journey. Since the time I met him. And Shubhra Sehu, who joined us from South Africa. Well, she had come for other projects and joined hands with us here. Kanchan Salahuddin, who was a welder. I mean, I can keep naming everyone. Naresh Pal, who's the community leader. But this is when something really beautiful and incredible happened, as this snowball into a larger, sort of a collective. This is where also Social Design Collaborative was founded, as I felt the need for such a hands-on practice, which is able to work on ground and involve people from different backgrounds. And this is what the process looked like. We built a school with our own hands and with the help of the welder, Salahuddin, because it was a metal frame. with bamboo infill, which I'll show you in the next few pictures. But what was the starting point for us was learning from the ground, learning from the local knowledge. And I think here as designers, as students, it's also very important to sort of flip the idea that we have of us being experts as architects or designers. We think that, we have learned how to do something because we have learned technical details, the technicalities of it in a classroom. But real knowledge is not always within a classroom. That's not where all the education is gotten from. And so for us, the first point was learning from the way people are already building, using river weed, using okra, bhindi ki ghas, dried up okra. And this is what the process looked like, where we were able to build it ourselves. Students also joined in the building. And for, of course, the metal work, we had the welder. Here you can see people are putting the door themselves. It was very light, and these were pivoted doors. This is what it looked like. Now, there is a very long story behind it, which I'm not going to go into. Maybe you can find some of the other presentations on this work. The design was called Mod School because the idea was it's a modular school, and many more such informal bridge bridge schools, educational spaces could be created. However, because of land tenure issues, it had to be, after it was built in 2017, it had to be relocated in 2019, further down the river. And this is what it looked like. There, we also brought in crafts workers from the area who were doing charpai weaving. This is what it looked like from inside. What I do want to focus on are the people who were behind it, who were behind making this possible at the first place and now at the second place. These are the students. And if we think about impact, if you ask me what really is, impactful, or what do you consider the success of a project? For me, it's when it takes off without us. It has a life of its own. As designers, I see us as catalysts. We are perhaps able to trigger some processes. We are able to facilitate these processes, but only if they're able to take off on their own and have a life of their own. I think that's, for me, what is really impact. And this is what has happened in the school. Makes me really happy. 5 years later, what happened is a group of rock climbers. So this is Jamie and his crew. They got together, just 6 of them, and they again rebuilt or revamped the school by using thatch on the metal roof that we had put initially and mud on the bamboo. So for the architects, you might know about wattle and daub. So the bamboo was only the wattle, and then the daub was applied a few years later as the bamboo needed repair. And this was also the vision from the start. And so now it's a truly sustainable school, and many more people keep joining hands to conduct workshops and to bring in, I think, new educational approaches, pedagogical approaches and processes for the students. Antil also collaborated with us and has created a playground there. Okay, so now you know what you're interested in. Now you know perhaps what you want to do about it. You might already have ideas, or if you don't, I think always a good starting point is to look at inspirations, other projects, other people who inspire you. Thank you, Priyanka. And I think the next step really is start working on it, start thinking about it, start trying it out. So try it, test it, talk about it. So by testing, I mean design is an iterative process. I think gone are the days when we were in college, we used to think that, the idea will come at 6 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. I mean, I was that student. But it doesn't work like that. And even if you've gotten through college somehow like that and showing up for the external jury, you cannot make it in professional life like that. And thankfully, that's something I was able to pick up later, because design is not a idea that's coming, and then you have suddenly a great idea like a genius. Design is practice. Design is an iterative process. You do something, you get feedback on it, and then you move ahead. And then it's a sort of a cyclical process, but in a linear way, which goes hopefully ahead and ahead. So as architects, we find models a very effective medium of communication and testing things, because technical drawings are hard for people to understand who are not technically trained. Also, we really enjoy making models, working with our hands. And so that's how we have been testing our designs, taking them forward and trying stuff. And when it comes to further testing, I would say prototyping, which is also what the presentations in the beginning were talking about. And prototype, parts of it, all of it. If you can prototype at 1:1 scale, I mean, nothing like it, because I'm talking about spatial design here. For people to experience space and then give you feedback. I think that's really, really valuable. And talk about it. I think that's very important. Many times, I think most of the designers, simply stay in the studio with their computer, and we think, oh, we've really thought about people, we really care about them. I've made this design, it's going to change the world. But really, all we have to do is go out there, talk to the people who are going to use the design, who are going to be the primary stakeholders in the process. And they might say that Didi, ye to bilkul kaam nahi karta, this doesn't work at all. Or they might actually validate it and say, this is great, but how about we also do this? And here my mentor, Marco Ferrario, who's also an architect, he taught me this rule of 3. If you're asking people something, if you're asking them a question, if you're asking them for feedback, it's good to ask thrice. Because the first time they might say bahut acha, it's very nice, because no one has really maybe come and asked them what they think about something. And then I think it's important to ask a second time, and not right away. Don't say, what do you think, what do you think, what do you think? It's like maybe later on in the conversation, ask them again, and then maybe they will start opening up as they feel, okay, maybe I can also tell her what is not working. And then again, I think a third time, and that's when the real story starts. So please go and talk to the people you're designing for, even though, and this process, I mean, it's a competition, it's a platform, but I think they're also encouraging you to go there and talk to the people you're designing for. Don't think of it only as a competition that, you have to win, or a grant that you have to get. And there's a lot of joy in going out there and discussing, your design. And also, I'll tell you, it's as an architect who works in the social sector, I've realized that it's really, really a very good process, because it also protects you in a way, because when everything has been designed with everyone, meaning to say the ownership of course is there, because people see it as their design, their process, but also the responsibility. So if tomorrow something goes wrong, you can say, hey, but you're the one who said we should do this. So I think this sort of a mutual dynamics is what you want to be able to create, of responsibility and ownership. And again, this is a younger me from my 30s, I think. And that's again Nidhi. We were working on something else and taking feedback on the phone. We were working on an app, I think, at that point, as a part of MHS Micro Home Solutions. Okay, so now you have your people. You know what you want to do. What's the next step? Just do it. I think many of us often get paralyzed because we are like, oh, I have to do this right. And I have to understand everything, and I have to make sure my research is top notch. And all of these things are true, but at this point, it's also about being experimental, taking risks. So listen to Nike and just do it. And I think okay, I think I'll talk about that later. And I think it's also very important to think about change. When we're talking about social change, it's not just what we're able to change on ground. Most likely, well, things might not change as much as we have changed. So let the process change you. And I think this has been one of my biggest learnings. And I hope you're thinking about this in the longer process. I hope for you this doesn't end only in March, as this process of the impact movement ends, and you are able to continue working on things you care about deeply and are changed in the process. I mean, I have changed so much in the way I walk, the way I talk, what I wear, how I talk to people, the things I care about. And I think that's what this journey is about. So let's go back to the school. So after we built the school in 2017 and then sort of rebuilt in 2019, how it changed me is I started thinking about why is this happening in the first place? Why are farmers who are ensuring food security in the city, who are during COVID, when the borders were shut, it was only because of the farmers that the neighborhoods in that area had access to fresh produce. Why are we giving all of that away? Why are they being evicted in the first place? And also, building a school can only do so much. It's a band-aid solution. Okay, so this school has been demolished, so we rebuild the school, but we can't keep rebuilding demolished schools. We should be not demolishing schools in the first place. And that's what we started thinking about. We started thinking about things at an urban level, at a larger scale. And I started looking at mapping as a medium, because the evictions were happening. And they were happening on the basis of official maps, which did not feature the farms of the farmers. They did not show the livelihoods or the villages of the farmers. And it's very easy to remove something if it's not even there. If you show that it's not even there on a map, it's a blank space, nothing is there, so it's okay to remove it. And I realized that maps are really planning is a top-down process, and maps can be instruments of violence at times. They are, instrument. I mean, they are made by people who are in power, and by excluding people who are powerless, who are marginalized, it's gross injustice what's happening in our cities. And so, can mapping also become a medium for us to question it, to challenge it, and can we make our own maps and put ourselves on the map if you're missing from the official maps? And that's what we started doing. This is a conversation with the farmers there, looking at a satellite image. And then the farmers started stitching their own map as they saw it. And stitching was a very effective medium because this was also during COVID and we couldn't always meet each other. This was the third wave of COVID, I think. And so everyone would stitch their own farm and their own house and then pass it to the other person, to the other household. So it was also social distancing was also possible. And over a few months, this map got stitched of the entire neighborhood as the farmers saw their neighborhood. And then with the support of an experimental arts organization called Khoj Studios, we were able to create a community art event where the idea was to invite the residents of the city to the riverfront. And the farmers led these walks, which took them through the farms to the riverfront, asking them, what kind of a riverfront do you want? Because the planning processes leave out people who are directly affected by these planning processes. They leave out marginalized communities. When the riverfront development plan was made, the farmers were not consulted in it. And they've been farming there for decades, since independence, at least. And so here the farmers took up this process of asking residents, what kind of riverfront do you want? Do you need to remove these farms to have parks? Can we not have both? And so these are the kind of walks that were led. We call it Chalo Yamuna. That's the Yamuna that you can see there. And over time, we also started looking at making technical maps because, making hand-stitched maps, I think, is also a storytelling medium, which can be powerful. But in the eyes of planning authorities, it's technical maps that really hold credibility. And so we started working with the farmers along the 22-kilometer stretch of the river Yamuna in Delhi and organized and mobilized different groups in different parts of that stretch. Different community leaders, started mapping their own areas. We use an app called Kobo Toolbox, which has been developed by the Harvard Humanitarian Initiative. And it's very simple to use. These are the workshops we held for the farmers to be able to map their own farms. And about 56 bastis, 56 villages were identified in this process. And finally, it is also very important. The point I want to come to is when you go through something like this, it's very important that you share it. And when I say share it, I don't mean just on social media with your friends. Why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, not just to win a competition, right? Hopefully, you're doing it because you care about something, and so it's important that you disseminate it and you share it with people who can do something about it. Many times, what happens is, and I've done this for the longest time, as a designer, I design something, I'm very happy with it, and end of story. Or maybe it gets built or it's a product and then you can create it. But that's not it. If you're working towards social change, there is a social issue you've identified. You want to do something about it. So once you have finished the design process, I think that's just 60% of your work. 40% is to be able to take it to the people who can do something about it and be able to disseminate it. And that's something which we tried to do. And we held a public launch in 2022, March. And this study, I know, is now being used by researchers, by journalists. It has been used by lawyers in High Court to advocate for the rights of the farmers because over 9,000 households were identified to be living on the floodplains. However, the farms are being evicted, are being demolished, and largely you go there now, you will see these parks, you will see these, sort of lawns, these manicured sort of parks. And unfortunately, the state mechanisms are very, very, strong. It's not always possible to bring in the voice of different groups to be able to always influence it. But I think somewhere we end up influencing it because of our efforts, which perhaps in the long term, show up, or if not at this one place, then another city, maybe in Pune, maybe in Hyderabad, we can do what we were not able to do in Delhi. So keep doing it. Do not give up. And this is something I tell myself all the time. And that's why I also agreed to, do this talk, because I think motivating you is also a way of motivating myself. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. And that's what we have been also doing, from designing educational spaces such as schools. Now we've also been designing Anganwadis, because Anganwadis are a very effective way of strengthening communities from within. Even if the informal settlement, or colloquially what are called slums, a basti, is considered illegal in the eyes of the government. And right now, Delhi is facing a lot of demolitions, and most of them are without due process. So the settlement is not illegal. The process of demolition is illegal. Even if a basti is considered illegal, they're entitled to an Anganwadi. Women and Child Welfare Department, they're not looking at the land tenure or the status of the basti. As long as there are 40 children, as long as there are 800 people, you are entitled to an Anganwadi, which provides early childcare, education, health and nutrition, a midday meal, which is very important for so many people. And so now we've started focusing more on Anganwadis to be able to create critical community spaces. This is one such project that we built recently in Greater Noida. And well, this is what it looks like from inside. Again, I'm not going to focus on the design so much as the process, as the strategies we have employed. So I think, I don't know how much more time I have, but I'm reaching the end of my presentation. So let's talk about impact, because this is why we are here, right? For the impact challenge, for the design impact movement. And for me, impact is the way to have impact, social impact, is to be able to, is by connecting, connecting the dots, is by connecting people. And I think that's really, really important. And that's, that journey from your studio to the outside world. I think this is where impact lies. This is where it's social change is possible in the way perhaps you are envisioning it. So at this point, if you haven't already, if your teachers haven't talked to you about stakeholder mapping, please do so. It's very important. Who are your primary stakeholders? Who are your secondary stakeholders or tertiary stakeholders? Who are stakeholders? People who have a stake in the project, in the process, right? People who are directly impacted by it, influenced by it, or people who have an influence on it. These are all your stakeholders. And connecting with them is very important. So the most important stakeholders are the users, people who are going to be directly impacted by it. In the case of Anganwadis, it's the children. And it's very important that we engage with them in the designing of the Anganwadis, or engage with people who can engage with children, because it's a different way to engage with children when compared to adults. There's child psychology, which definitely needs to come in. And then it's very important to also engage at, what is usually called the top-down level, but it need not be, to engage at a policy level, to engage at a planning level. So here, the most important person for us was a district magistrate. It was important for us to show him the design in the beginning, and then to have him come at the inauguration and inaugurate the design. And and also its presence creates credibility in the process, in the design. And all of these things are important for the impact that we were hoping to have, which is being, able to create many more such Anganwadis. And so this is what's happening right now. This is, she's the governor of Uttar Pradesh, Anandiben Patel, and she saw the design and she really liked it, and she wants Greater Noida to build 20 more such Anganwadis. And when we're talking about scale, this is the kind of impact that's important for us. And at this point, I also want to say that scale is not my favorite word, though it's often used in, when it comes to social enterprises and this process, because it also talks about, or it implies that scale means that the same solution is sort of replicated, almost like a cookie cutter solution. I mean, maybe if it's a product that you're designing and it needs to be mass produced, perhaps, but when, when it's a process, such as the one that we have been a part of, and you might also be a part of, I mean, you cannot apply the same design everywhere. Okay, it's the same design, but it has to be adapted to different contexts, and that requires a bit more than what we mean when we say scale. And hopefully from product, I mean, now if you're doing something which is product design, but which is fine, but over time, I hope you can also start seeing it as a process. And to end my presentation, I want to just say, be brave. That's very, very important. And most importantly, be stupid, because very often they're the same things. If I wasn't stupid, I don't think I would have done half the things that I managed to do so far. And I think as you're older, you know what you cannot do. And sadly, that's true. You know what you can do, and you know what's possible, what's not possible. You become more practical, you become more realistic. I mean, there are some good things in that as well. But when I was younger, I didn't know. And I think not knowing sometimes can be a boon. So to have the audacity to think, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can build a cycle tracks network and maybe have a cycle track network passing through green spaces of Delhi. Or to think, oh, maybe the riverfront can still have farms. We don't need to, remove them to have parks. To have the audacity to hope. I think for positive social change, you need to be a bit stupid. So be stupid, and I'm trying to stay stupid. It's not always easy. But that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Swati. That was such an inspiring presentation. I think a lot of us will kind of voice the same thing. It's a brilliant start to the design impact movement. Thank you for that powerful and inspiring presentation and for setting the stage for design impact movement. Your work is a reminder of the impact that design can have when it's rooted in empathy, equity, and collaboration. We'll now be taking 2 to 3 questions from the audience for Swati. If you have something that you'd like to ask or reflect, please feel free to raise your hand or drop it in the chat box. I think we've already had a couple of questions put in the chat box. I'll just read that out, Swati, for you. I'll go from the latest one. Anahita Ray from SRH asks, how can young social designers support themselves, maybe financially, through the long timelines of social impact design projects? And her second question is, are these government or private associations young social design thinkers can become a member of? Are there government or private associations that young social design thinkers can become a member of?
Yeah, thanks for that, Anahita. So I think, financial sustainability, it's a huge challenge for sure. I am also not very good at it. Previously, the representative from Titan, was talking about taking it to the market. So hopefully they can teach you ways of doing that. The work that we do, it's not very marketable. It's not. I mean, I haven't been able to find a sort of a business model there. If anyone has ideas, more than welcome. But we survive, through grants. So applying for different grants, and sometimes people get in touch with us to support our work. Which is really like very, very reassuring and heartwarming that people see merit in it. And sometimes we take up consultancy projects. So I think financial sustainability in social work for me is also a bit of a creative exercise. You need to be creative and think of different ways to do it. It is very hard. I don't want to discourage you all. It's very hard, but it's extremely rewarding. And I think one thing I've learned is to also I mean, it's a word which is often used, self-care. It's very, very important. If you go down this journey, that you also take care of yourself, only then you can take care of others. And then, I mean, I can go on and on about that part. But I think there are different ways, and hopefully, this mentorship process will teach you those. In our case, it's grants and consultancies. And second.
So I think if I may just add to that, because I think you said it very well when you said, using your creativity, because we as designers and architects often think creativity is restricted to the domain of probably designing a space and building a space, but it can actually extend to even this whole thing of building proposals, thinking of, I think, very important, you mentioned share. And I think collaboration is one way of growing, because the more you collaborate, more you reach out, is also ways in which like you asked if you can be part of a think tank or an organization. And those are also ways in which eventually you'll be able to probably get someone to come and, like she said, reach out and say, we have a grant and you have a project, and let's come together and make it happen. So yeah, we are also living each day to realize that it is beautiful, this whole journey of finding your way and finding funds and making
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
And Geeta, I know you also, I mean, it's a similar sort of a question for you as well. I mean, you have been creative in so many ways and created this, very different sort of a space here, a very unique space. But I think what you said also answers the second question a bit. Are there government or private associations young social designers or thinkers can become a member of? Yes, there are. And as Geeta said, it's very important that you collaborate, you reach out. And I think it's a very natural response. And if it isn't, I would encourage, one to do that. Who are the other people who are thinking of the same things as you? Who are the other weird people, at your level of weirdness? And I have found, some really incredible people, really amazing people in the process, and they're collectives. And I think the strength of our work has been that we work in collectives. For me, because I work on forced evictions, being a part of the Delhi Housing Rights Task Force, and there's so many other task forces when it comes to, the work that activists and social workers do. And then there are campaigns. So when Delhi's master plan was being formed for 2041, about 40 civil society organizations in Delhi, gathered themselves to create a campaign called Main Bhi Delhi, to make sure citizens' feedback, residents' feedback is taken into the master planning process. In this, we learned from Mumbai. And now I think Chennai is also going through a similar process, and this peer-to-peer learning with them. So I think talk to your teachers, talk to other architects who might know of these, of these spaces, which are really, if you think about it, I mean, sort of also third spaces, right? I mean, there is, unless this is your work, but what I was trying to say is the sort of community spaces in between work and in between home. And I think that's where we really thrive. It's very important for us, as social beings, to find these spaces. And I think, for example, if you like reading, you'd be a part of a book club, right? Or, some sort of a poetry group, and maybe you go for spoken word events. Now, if you're an architect or a designer, what are those design events that you want to be a part of? What are those platforms? What are those spaces? If you're interested in social work, what are the campaigns that maybe you can contribute to? And over time, you become a regular part of. So I think I would say reach out, being more proactive and focusing on what you really care about. I think that's very important, because if you care about something, you are going to go down, that route. So Manoj has a question perhaps for the
I
organization.
think, yeah, Anahita, the other thing maybe is when you talked about private associations or government, you can begin with a neighborhood association, really. How do you steer them towards innovating in the solutions for the neighborhood? It can just be a housing society to start with. And I think the more we get involved in these things, the more change is likely to happen, if we start looking at these things creatively.
Yeah, Geeta, I want to write on what you said. Yeah, once again, I think that's a great suggestion, because, you don't have to go to another neighborhood. You don't have to necessarily work in busties. I think the first step is really like in your own neighborhood, what is happening? Do you want to be able to build a badminton court? I think one of the biggest sort of, fights always is kids want spaces to play cricket, and people want spaces to walk and, do yoga. And there's always this tussle happening, this fight happening. I mean, there are, I think, social challenges everywhere. And then, what would you like to do about it? Can you get together a group of people who also, want to do something about it? That's a great starting point, Geeta. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm just pitching in here what Swati and Geeta sort of shared. So see, in the last decade, right, if you were to see a decade back, we didn't have these support systems for social entrepreneurs, okay, or this social impact work as much. they were NGOs, but now there are so many social entrepreneurs, and incubators have mushroomed. There are more than 250 incubators in our country. So being a part of an incubation journey with any incubator, like, Design Impact offers that incubation journey through NEST program, right? So, but any being part of any incubator is a way to start as well, because you get a very structured mentorship, then, networking, and then further avenues to take your, and then you are also a part of cohort. You find your tribe. So one of the objectives of Design Impact, right, like when we launched it, we realized that so many people told us that thanks for this, because, I used to think that I'm the only one doing this, but now I've really got people who are in the same journey with me. So that's one way to sort of take it forward. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before we move on to other questions, just answering Manoj Pawar's question here about the eligibility. So there is a good news that we have actually extended the eligibility to 35 years and below. Also, if they are like truly exceptional ideas for people who are above 35, they can submit their ideas. The final decision will rest with the jury. So just to answer your question, thanks. I think we can continue with taking 1-2 questions more for sorting.
Yeah. So I'll just read out what Anushka Shah from Srishti has written in the chat box. In social design, it's important to first build the right mindset before jumping into creating a product. Just like how form follows function, the way we think and understand the problem shapes what we end up designing. A strong mindset helps us create solutions that are thoughtful, inclusive, and truly needed. But at the same time, we also need products to put ideas into action and make real impact. So how do we balance building the right mindset while also moving towards tangible solutions?
Yeah, I think this is what I was talking about also when I said, try it, test it, and talk about it. I think, we have, I think the way our society is structured and perhaps education is also structured, we think about success and failure a lot. And I think we really set ourselves up for that, we cannot fail, or like, this will look bad, or this is ugly. And I think it's very important to just try, because, you're not going to get it right in the first go. And I think if you can sort of relax that bar for yourself a bit, it really, really helps. And yes, you're right. I mean, it takes time to be sensitive. I mean, also in terms of ethics, there's so many things that we have to learn. If you're also working with communities, there is a huge class and caste, difference many times between designers and communities they're working with, especially in the social sector, in the development sector. But at the same time, many times we get paralyzed because we're like, oh, but I don't know enough. I haven't learned enough. And what if I get it wrong? I mean, as long as you're not hurting anyone in the process and not being extractive in the process, I would say go ahead and just, like I was also saying in the presentation, just do it. And not the final, sort of product or space or whatever you are thinking of, but just come up with one version, and that version will become better the more you talk to people, and so create space for the series of those interactions to happen. But I think the first step is just to go ahead and do it. If you are a writer, just go ahead and write something. If you're a dancer, you want to just go ahead and dance. And I think if you're a designer, go ahead and design something, and then start talking to people. Of course, I'm saying after you've done a bit of research and after you have thought about it a bit. But I guess this sort of launch, that you're talking about, to put ideas into action, I would not put so much pressure on it. I would say, go ahead and do it. Does that help?
Yeah, I think so. We do have a few more. I think Meenakshi from VIT Vellore has made a comment more than a question. And Thakur School of Architecture had requested like a quick recap of the first 2 slides that you were talking about, cycling through Delhi. But I think for the paucity of time, if it is okay, we can revisit that a little later. Thank you so much. I think thank you for all the questions. And like I was mentioning, we'll do an open Q&A at the end of the session to address everybody's queries. Thank you so much, Swati, for this lovely. I think the interaction kind of snowballed into something very organic, and it was quite nice to have everybody kind of participate in the conversation. Now, if I may ask, now please join me in welcoming Gunrag Talwar, a passionate change maker whose journey reflects the spirit of this initiative. Gunrag is an architect and urban innovator, transforming waste into opportunity, creator of Dumpcrete, an internationally recognized sustainable building material made from legacy waste, currently consulting with Saroja Earth on biomass management and serving as a Next Generation India Fellow with the UN Foundation. He bridges technical expertise, policy insights, and creative vision to build more sustainable cities from their most challenging spaces. I now welcome Gunrag Singh Talwar to share his experience of taking an idea from concept to impact and what he learned along the way. Over to you, Gunrag.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'll just share my screen because I don't think I can do 40 minutes of just my face. So, wait. Yeah, let's go. Hang on. So just let me know if you can see only my screen, and if you see a white screen, that's all I want you to see right now. We're good?
Yes, we can see your white screen.
Okay, so hi, I'm Gunrag. Two faces now. But yeah, my work has largely been around one simple concept, which is either you call it urban resource management or you call it closed loop systems. And in the last 5 years of me working, I've worked around waste, water, and air, which I believe are very relevant and important environmental thematics of work. So, I mean, I'll give you big problem statements with waste. It is that centralized waste management system, the fact that our waste had to go to one place, has overburdened our cities and created a problem. With water, it's especially in Delhi's context, we are landlocked. So it's that a limited water supply cannot actually meet the needs of an ever-growing population. So what do you plan for? How do you facilitate that? And finally, with air, the problem that North India faces at large is that policy imperatives currently lead to stubble burning, which is now a health pandemic that we face every year. And that's like 3 big problem statements. I'm not saying this is what you need to do. This is what I have done and I can talk about at length. And to all of you here now, I'm sure like some of you have a entrepreneurial zeal, but I'm also sure some of you don't. And see, that's perfectly fine, because in my work, there has been things that are self-initiated and self-capacitated that I have brought on and done. And there are also things that I found with other organizations. So if you can align yourself with another organization, integrate your objectives with theirs, I think a greater impact is also possible. So don't shy away from the fact that you may not be an inherent leader, or you may not feel confident enough to do it yourself right away. It's completely fine to be aligned and make things happen. So that's like, I think, the first insight here. And I think a lot of problems that we face today, and this is my opinion, but also historically relevant, is that with products, and I'm hoping that through Design Impact Movement, you'll be pitching products, you'll be pitching technologies and solutions. A problem that we've done through history is that we've relied only on profit, wherein any organization's growth and scale was directly proportional to their sustained revenues and margins. And this creates problems. So basically, we can talk about profit through all 3 solutions or all 3 domains of work that I do, but only talking about profit will mean bigger problems later. See, organizations that go into production would either cut corners around quality, they would cut corners around environmental norms, they'll cut corners around a lot of things to make ends meet, to make the profit count. And that's where a lot of problems that we see today arise from. And there are different ways of doing things now. You don't have to just think of this and make ends meet. So the thing is, and another thing is, When you go to, let's say, I'm sure a lot of you have seen Shark Tank, where entrepreneurs come and say that, here's my solution and it's going to change things. I don't think products alone can solve wicked problems. It will take a lot more, right? So no, your product will not change the world from its get-go. It cannot. It's not possible. That's just not how it works. Okay. It could be revolutionary, but it's not going to change the world at the get-go. Yeah, eventually it might, once you turn it into a system. So this is where you need to understand that it's very relevant to think systematically, but also think in systems. And in my work, this has been around. This works something like this. So again, like giving you the large canvas of operations. I'll stay at the slide for a bit so you can read. But let me focus on waste, where one problem is that we have these huge landfills which are full of material. And surrounding these landfills, we have a greater community of urban poor, including waste pickers and migrant workers, who will soon lose their job once the landfill doesn't receive fresh waste, and have been losing their household income as the waste gets worse. But here's the thing, right? Could we upcycle it into products? Yes. So this was the evolution of my product pathway. But how do you actually connect it in the grander scheme of things is what makes it a relevant system. And you could translate it into any other thing. For example, in water, basically, we don't have enough water in Delhi, right? We only have a limited number of water, or limited amount of water. And we're not getting any new water from anywhere. So the only thing you can do now is either you recycle or you beg, borrow, steal from other cities, which is not really happening. So what do? You recycle, and but if you recycle so much water, where do you keep it? You have to make something. You have to make lakes, and then you recover water from the lakes, and eventually pipe it back to the consumers. So this is where you have to understand things on ground, and these are very simplified flowcharts, just representing a complex train of thought to you. And once you get into research, you have to really take a deep dive. You'll understand larger complexities of the problem. Someone is scribbling on my screen. But back to anyway.
Achal, will you help clear that up? Yeah.
That's okay. It's nice. So anyway, I think your thoughts and impetus need to change into thinking about not just the profit bottom line, which any organization would, into what is the root of a sustainable entrepreneurship pathway, which is having a triple bottom line, wherein you consider all. Oh, sorry. Hello?
Yes, Gundra.
Yeah, when did you stop hearing me? Because I was asked to unmute.
Just
No, just
10 seconds ago. The reason is we just disabled other people's.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
So I was saying that basically we need to make a shift from talking about only profits when we run operations to talking about planet and people too. So this becomes foundational to a social enterprise where you talk about three things together. And what this really does, it helps you tie things neatly. So when yeah, so if you look at the systems that I was talking about, it's neatly packed also for visual representation, but neatly thought about how the three things will work together. And in my experience, working with the environment, working with people, and working in a way to make things financially sustainable, I think this triple bottom line is very important. And I'll take you through it through the example of Dumpcrete, wherein I'm trying to pave the way to sustainable urban transformation, literally paving. And here's the simple triple bottom line, right? Very simply put, we need to address legacy waste because it is a problem for the planet. There are people who could benefit from this, potentially through green job opportunities. And finally, I can't always be grant making. So I remember 2-3 years ago when I had raised a little fund with Ethos through their Saint-Gobain grant program, which was very relevant and helped us to get things going. But I can't always be grant making. So there comes a point where I have to think of a way to sustain it. And that's where the profit component is still very relevant. You can abandon it if you are a non-profit, but then it's grant making. But that is not what I am looking to do through a product-based pathway. So this is how a for-profit sustainable enterprise can work on paper. And like getting back to the waste problem, right? This is Delhi's landfills, where I've been working for the last 5 years now. And we have 3 of them. They're monumental in scale, and they're also a tragedy. So they're a living tragedy on ground where you see, people are terribly affected. This is nothing short of a disaster, and yet you have people living here. So here is a tip on policy alignment. See, the impetus has to change, right? I could have started 5 years early when nothing was happening, and it would have taken me a lot of time to get things going. But there was some policy impetus. The government wanted to do something about it. Finally, they had solid targets. And this enables a little ecosystem of things happening that helps getting the ball roll faster. Now, with the first speaker, Swati, in her case, it's morally the ball is rolling in the opposite direction. And that creates, that is also very important because the ball never truly rolls in the right direction. But here is what the government had planned to do. And they had metric targets. They wanted to achieve something by an amount of time. And in this, the government was going to pump in a lot of money to get things done. Now that's opportunity, right? And to me, the opportunity was that they were giving out a material for free. Now, if you consider the Indian mindset, something coming for free is some kind of business opportunity, right? And that is what I wanted to work around. But then this was actually the right timing of it. So timing of it will matter. And this is where the timing goes right. Now, they were giving out materials for free, and these materials could be upcycled. So the next step, which we did with Ethos through the St. Govind Grants program, was the first level of R&D. Like, could this actually be upcycled, right? And that's where I came with the big, bold initial idea. Like, what if, could this happen or could this not happen? And this starts with holistic R&D. That's my own hand. So, I mean, it's fairly good. I mean, this is lab scale trials, but tested and scientifically done. And that's also like, you have to make sure your backbone is strong. You can't just be flimsy and in the air and think that things will happen, right? GPT can't do this for you. You have to do it. So do this. And then it's also about the second layer, right? You have to engage people and make sure, okay, the product is possible, but can it really be manufactured at scale at the grassroots? And that's a bigger question that I'm still trying to solve, honestly. So this is a May Day initiative we had. So first May Labor Day, we did this little initiative where we got a couple of people, trained them to see if we could actually make it and at what cost. So this was initial trials. And initial trials are good enough for us to revamp one public space, which I think is a very meaningful impact to create. So if you look at the park on the left, which is completely disused, what we created on Independence Day in 14 days, it was nothing short of, something that was amazing, something that was enough of a wow factor for people to follow and love. And the park still maintained, people are growing trees, and it makes me very happy, even if it's a little park. So that's your pilot. Your pilot is very important, and your pilot is your proof of concept, but it's also a proof of your organization's ability to manifest things on ground. And following this is how do you make this at scale, right? So we used Dumpcrete to create a little operations unit for Dumpcrete. This was also at Bilaswa. And also a good opportunity to engage your workforce and stakeholders into using the material, because they can make something new, but if they haven't ever used it, they don't know how to use it, and they'll be underconfident on how it works. So this is how we got started, and this is one product, and this is what the operations unit looked like last year, same time. And this was exciting because we had gone from what was completely small scale to little to slightly bigger. And here I was supported by a CSR initiative because we needed to ensure that we were benefiting people and we didn't have revenue in mind. So when something is missing in the piece, which in this case was profit, we had to go to the grant making route. And this was fun. This taught us a lot of things on how to scale this further and better, and what to do, what not to do. So if you see through the process, and it's a 3-year process now, I've been trying and iterating and trying again and figuring out what will actually work. So it's never one step to success, right? You will fail multiple times, and the failure will teach you a lot more than the wins. And this was fun. So happy group of people. And but once you have product, you have to put it out somewhere. And this is where I started doing pilots. So I am also an architect, and I build my own stuff. And this is where Dumpcrete found its own first home. So why can't you cycle back the product into your own construction and prove it to people? So, I've done kitchens with it. I think it's fair and viable for anything now. And don't be afraid of the side quests. So all that I've spoken about right now on, capitalism, on overconsumption, on greed, I wanted to figure out and put it out as an art installation. So this is something that I did with the Swarovski Foundation. And those are, the best real Swarovski crystals meeting my own very formulation. So this was on display at Fifth Avenue in New York. And I don't think there was any other way to put it out to the public. So that's the formal enterprise launch per se. Now we'll shift gears, talk about water, because I've spoken about waste for a long time. But you'll see similar ideas coming together, and just giving you more perspective on the fact that it's not just applicable at one place. And see, with water, Delhi was given 900 million gallons of water per day at a point in time where our population was much lower. We are much bigger of a city now with the same amount of water. So we have a crisis, and you have to deal with the crisis. So basically, the way to augment water supply for the city through its public initiative, which was Delhi City of Lakes, was to create these lakes and use them as reservoirs to hold recycled water. So every city has sewage treatment plants, every city has water treatment plants. The sewage treatment plants recycle water into treated water. That is not used for a lot. It is used to basically clean railways. You can use it for horticulture, but it's not put back into the supply. So basically, we've spoken about, I think as architects, since this is majorly architects, we've spoken about having separate gray water and gray water reuse, but how do you do it at city level? I don't think any of you have done it at your home yet. Neither have I, but we need to get going in that direction now more than ever. So here's what the city has been doing, and that's fantastic impetus, because a lot is happening, and how can you contribute to a meaningful initiative that you see reason with? And this is where I was as an architect, and we were cleaning up lakes, rejuvenating them, making sure they could hold more water. And this opens up another opportunity that I'll speak about right after this. But then there is, how do you pilot innovative, decentralized technology that doesn't come from me, comes from engineers, comes from fantastic engineers that I've been associated with and have gotten to know, and how can those be implemented at scale? So this here is a little instrument that helps increase oxygen in water. These here are floating wetlands that essentially help take away nutrients from drains, essentially cleaning the water. And there is a lot more out there that you don't know about that you should. So here's where, research, getting to know, and interdisciplinary collaborations also hold a lot of meaning. And right, let's talk about the third aspect, which is what am I doing for air? And here I talk about stubble burning and biomass. But see, I'm slightly concerned about introducing a whole new domain to you. So I'll stay at Bharasa and show you how we did it here and how I'm scaling it later. So here we talk about the lake again. And we had this amazing big lake, the second largest water body in the city, but it was full of dung. It was full of cow dung and a lot of dairy waste, because the whole area next to it is a dairy. And the dairy did not get any kind of infrastructure to manage this waste. So all of it actually ended up in the lake. And this was not waste. This was biomass. And you can call something waste, but it's not necessarily waste, right? And it could find use. So what do you do? And it's the same with paddy straw also, which is the stubble burning problem in Delhi. It is just that this is a natural, organic, safe material that has so many uses. So could you pilot it into small scale biogas and try it out within the dairy? Or could you also turn it into an industrial fuel? So this is basically, you collect it, you process it, and you densify it. And this becomes a briquette that can go into a boiler or a brick kiln or even a thermal power plant where it offsets their coal consumption. And this is where things become meaningful and a self-sustaining enterprise. So this is what we're trying. And now I'm scaling this with another organization, which is Saroja Earth in Punjab, where we're tackling, the same densification technology at a very larger scale, at the industrial scale with farmers in Punjab. So here's the gist of it. If you look at my work and what I've done, and I'm telling you, it's been 5 years, that's an architectural degree, right? So 5 years out of practice, a whole architectural degree, that amount of time given to understanding and defining the problem. So what I share with you as slide number 1 is actually a lot of work, a lot of deep research. And that is my way to tell you that if you're going to apply for this program, treat it as a competition and treat it as a time problem. You may or may not succeed, but giving it enough time and passion will definitely help you get the upper edge. So if you're a young student, if you're in your early years, you can plan this as something you want to apply for eventually, because this is a recurring program. And then give it the time, right? Don't just like shotgun it, but you can. I'm not saying there's a problem with jumping the gun and getting things faster. You are the new generation, and I have full faith that you'll be able to do things much quicker and much reliably than I could. Next, there is, you have to ideate and prototype. So the solutions that I've shown you and the processes they've taken to, manifest are not simple, and it takes a while. So where does the ideation and prototyping process come from is largely your design thinking and education, but also wanting to do things differently and questioning status quo. So once you've defined the problem, take your time in ideate and prototype. And finally, there's a huge gap between what is theory and what is practice. And I learn that every day. So everything that's said on paper versus everything that happens in reality are slightly different. And that's, when you start thinking of an enterprise, you'll think of maybe 5 variables. And when you actually try to do it, you realize there are 500. And when you actually do it, there are actually 5,000. And all of this is time, experience, and, the urge to, what Swati said, be brave, be stupid, try it out and actually do it. But then don't be afraid of failure. You'll fail and you're allowed to fail. So get back and try again. So that's me, and look forward to questions.
Thank you so much, Bandra, for sharing your journey with us. It's inspiring to see how a simple idea driven by purpose and persistence can grow into something that creates real impact. Your story is a powerful reminder that at such a young age, when it comes to making a difference, you can do it. So we have few participant questions here. So now participants are really like, some of them have solution and ideas also, and some of them just have ideas. So there are few who have ideas in waste innovation. So what would you like to tell a young designer who wants to work with waste but doesn't have the access currently to certain labs, materials, or even funds? So what would you give advice to them?
See, if you don't have a lab, material, and fund, I'm sure you might get to know someone who does. And if you have something, that's first question you have to solve for yourself is what I'm doing truly path-breaking, new, or is it already being done? And if you're completely new to it, why don't work with someone who's already doing it, right? There's no shame in joining hands and helping organizations also scale. So do that. And if you think it's completely new, then you apply for funding. If it's truly liberatory, it's truly path-breaking, put it up as a Twitter post. I'm sure it will go viral. But you can, but then don't be shy of trying, and don't be shy of putting yourself out there also. Worst that can happen is they'll call you stupid and shoot you down. So that's fine.
Through this program, we actually very much give mentorship for the same. So you can go ahead and, actually create something viable. So that is what we do here in the program. Also, there is another question that your work asks people to see value in design in what they normally throw away. How do you shift public or institutional mindsets that are used to seeing waste as a problem and not a resource?
I don't see the questions, but okay, I'll answer this. And basically, behavioral change management takes a lot of time. So anything that let's say, behavioral change takes a lot of time. I don't think anybody's segregating their waste at home yet, right? So that's something not even elite educated have been able to do yet. I'm sure you're not doing it on campus completely. Even in your college campus, you're not probably doing it. If you are, kudos to you, but you're likely not. And behavioral change takes a lot of time. And in that regard, to do it institutionally, it takes a lot of money. So you've seen Swachh Bharat campaign come out. It's been the government's way to create behavioral change. But long-term behavioral change is something that requires complete consistency and enforcement, and also a sense of community. So Delhi hasn't been able to do it because Delhi doesn't, Delhi essentially lacks the sense of community. Indore was able to do it, and now they're so proud of it, they won't let that tangent change anymore, because it would be it would be against their self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think that's when, once people hold it close to their their self-value, that's when people change it. Really, nobody cares at the moment, but I am trying to get them to do. Another way to get it done is to show them a monetary impetus. For example, with farmers in Punjab, you can go make an outcry on how it's bad for them to be burning fields when you were the one choking in Delhi, but it might not actually create so much change. You tell them, I'll buy it from you at a certain cost. There's a whole business model figured out. The game changes. Now you have people who are rural entrepreneurs who are just collecting and aggregating and storing to make sure your factory runs well.
Munrag,
May I ask
I know
a
you did
question?
address it in your presentation, but if you could just spend a little more time on scaling, how do you go from that one unit to larger, both from the perspective of the finances, but also from the perspective of managing that scale.
Correct.
Getting people, getting the material, getting all that you need for it to work.
Okay, so architects will have to start using Excel sheets. And it's tricky because you're so used to only drawing, but the reality is only possible when the numbers are all figured out. And I told you, the numbers that you figure out initially will not actually work. So I made a neat Excel sheet when I applied to the St. Gobain Grants program, and that had it all figured out, or so I thought. You have to figure out what exactly it
multiple failures at different points take you to.
Yeah, but like I'm here to talk about my failures and help you not fail at
Absolutely.
that, right?
That's
So
one
right. So
thing.
initially you'll think about it's largely a theatrics game where you're visualizing all that will go into it, right? You will need people, you will need materials, you will need a space to host the materials. If you have a space, you'll need a rent agreement. The rent agreement would take something. And you have to basically fleshing this out takes a lot of time and effort and careful thought. You can refer to business plans. You can start reading sheets. That will be boring, but you should just try it out. If you budgeted for a party and split it on Splitwise, I'm sure you can get this done too. And it's not too different. It's just complete thought. You'll need soft drinks. You'll need chips. When how does that translate into hosting?
No, I meant scaling of the idea itself to that product.
Level.
Yeah. So testing it, going back. And then, looking at what went right, what went wrong, and being able to come up with a product that kind of works, but still, yeah.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
I can
Sure,
continue.
someone's asking a question.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, how much is the cost difference between a normal brick which is there in the market and the Dumpcrete?
Basically, I can offer it at cost, not to anyone who's near a big brick kiln, because in Punjab, near a brick kiln, it costs me 6.5 rupees. In Delhi, it's 8.5 to 10. That's when I can actually offer it. So I'm not thinking of it as an offering for where brick kilns are still allowed. I'm thinking it as an offering, or I'm putting it out in the market in a place where brick kilns are decommissioned. They are not allowed to operate. So in Delhi, you can't have a brick kiln anymore. But now basically it's an exercise about, does my cost of production in Delhi beat cost of transportation of a brick from a brick kiln in Sonipat or in Haryana to Delhi, right? And at the moment, I can offer it at cost, but I can't offer it at volume. So that's
how do we buy it? How any other architect would buy from you?
Okay, so basically we have to go to IndiaMart now. That's the next strategy. Once I have enough volume, it's IndiaMart website and Instagram and whatnot, and advertisements and material inventories, and a couple of strategies actually. So architects, I have not seen too many architects buy bricks. I've seen contractors buy bricks. And that's the target audience. Also, a lot of the brick buying market that I know of is informal, wherein bricks are simply sourced from wherever there is a closest stack. And this distribution exercise will take some time for this to be viable. And I'm trying and I'm getting there.
Thanks, Gandak. So to continue with Geeta's question about how you actually bring on the prototype, from an idea to a larger scale, can you please elaborate on that?
Oh, okay. What scale do we? So let's talk about my journey, and it starts with a simple application where the grant had a cap. It was a 1 lakh rupee grant, and the question then is, what can we do in that much money, right? Can you? And the question is, what all can you do? And you don't have to spread yourself too thin, which was a problem with my grant application 2 times. And eventually, you come down to a point where you realize that okay, this is how much I can promise and deliver upon. So if it's 1 lakh rupees, testing will take this much money, and that's something you can just take, call a testing lab and understand. So you have a budget for testing, and then you decide, okay, I'll spend it over 2 months, I'll spend it over 6 months, and in those 6 months, I'll carry out these many tests. So your testing budget is finalized. Now you have to rule down what is your production budget, who is going to make it, right? You can't make 500 bricks a day with your own hands. You can make the first brick, you can do the formulation, but then eventually there's someone who's going to do the scaling for you. So first you do it yourself, and it's up to you whether or not you are budgeting your own time there or not. For a small grant, I don't typically do that. For a bigger grant, I do. Because small grant.
Gunrag, if I may just interrupt, not all products need funding. They need the process of assessing the problem, going back, checking on what the solution could be. It could be where you're building maybe an app. It could be where you're building a process that can resolve a problem, or things like what Swati suggested as well. So if I'm asking you to step back from even the point of actually testing the brick, but deciding to make that brick, that is a solution that you're looking at, because that's the stage most of the people here are at, that they're trying to see what that solution for the problem they've identified is.
So let's, I'll jump back to my slide deck and I'll show you something that I found fairly sensitizing and important. You can see my screen now. So it's these visuals where I was working grassroots, trying to understand what was happening, because talking about a landfill from a distance is easy. Understanding what it actually means for people and the environment is something else. And August of 21, it was about a year since I had started venturing. This incident happened where a part of the landfill had collapsed into people's homes. And I was rushed there, it was a disaster management exercise, trying to see what had happened and what we could do about it. And we noticed that, what fell into people's houses is not really kachra as you would know it, but this soil-like material. And that's when my fascination with this material actually started. That, okay, it looks like soil. What is it worth? It does look like waste, right? In the next instance in 22, what happened was there was a fire. And in the fire, what we saw was that there were fire tenders coming in, just throwing water at it and hoping for it to solve. But a lot that they were trying to douse was simply this soil-like material, which was not even on fire, and which made me even more curious when I went into deep research mode, trying to understand what exactly this was and how much of the landfill was it was. That's when the opportunity strikes. So the opportunity is that over 60% of Delhi's landfills is this material. And that means you're solving, if you can solve for this, you solve for half of the problem, right? And that's where curiosity turns into slight aspiration, that, okay, this is a problem that is realistic. It has its statistics, right? And doing something with it will make a difference. So that's where, instigate to tries. And then there's the political impetus. It is finally happening and it's being given out for free. So then that is when you want to try it out. That's when I knew I wanted to try it out as a brick. And why the brick, I think, is my own personal pursuit of being an architect and solving for the building industry. The way I pitch it now is to say that the building industry is also fairly carbon intensive, and we as a sector are responsible for 30% of global carbon emissions. But it's more of a personal pursuit initially, where what is the easiest thing could it be? Could it be a brick? And that's where it starts from. So I hope I answered your question now.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
sorry
you.
I got it wrong.
Thanks.
So we have one question from SPAB by Sarah, that given your journey.
That's Gunrag, you're on the block. That's his alma mater.
Yeah. So given your journey, what's one practical thing you think young designers often overlook when they start designing for impact? Something you wish someone told you early on?
I think young designers are too utopian. You know, when you're an architect and you've been given a design brief every semester, you start thinking that, okay, maybe designing hospitals will solve the healthcare problem. And that is the only meaningful contribution you can have, right? Designing public housing will solve for housing, designing a hospital will solve for healthcare. But that is not true. Perhaps you should start questioning, do we need more hospitals or do we need more trained doctors? And that's how you need to assess the problem differently. And your only contribution to the world shouldn't just be buildings. It should be building better and building rationally, building logically, and building for a better world. So if it's just making a drawing, if it's just making a drawing and putting out a pretty render, I think you're far away from reality. So that's my take. Not the most optimistic tip, but that's my tip.
I think Rajesh sir had a question. Sir, can you speak now for the whatever you wanted to ask Kunra?
Sir, what is your thought for centralized and decentralized water treatment?
Okay, what do you mean by centralizing decentralized water treatment?
So decentralized is where you are treating the water at the place where it is created. Decentralized is where it is created itself, like in the house itself, where the water waste is created, there itself you are treating it. The
Okay.
plant which you showed is when it's coming to the lake, there it is getting treated.
So what do you mean by centralizing decentralized is my question.
Like, what is your thought about both of them? Like, did
Okay,
you
so
thought about
centralized and
decentralizing the
decentralized. Okay, sorry, I heard you wrong. So basically, in my experience with gel board, we need centralized systems. You can't do away with them. Because see, by hook or crook, by whatever means, a centralized system will be able to process something at certain capacity and it will do it, right? It's supposed to do it. A decentralized system comes in a way to augment and help release stresses on this system. Because once you have a centralized system operating, you have 31 STPs in Delhi, by the way. It's under a lot of pressure. There is, I told you, there's ever-growing population. Ever-growing population means there is an ever-growing sewage supply, and no 31 plants can be designed to cater to a future mindset. We've not designed for 2047. We probably designed for 1997. That's where the delta lies, and this is where decentralized systems work very well, very efficiently. Whether
yes,
or not
something which we can
decentralized.
put in our homes itself,
Okay,
which could
so like
allow
getting to that. But decentralizing to the point where it should be done at your home might not be financially sustainable for everybody. You see, in Delhi, we tried rainwater harvesting, and basically any house around 500 meters square is mandatory to do rainwater harvesting. But they're not, one. And they're not because they're not interested. What does a 10% subsidy on a water bill every month mean when your water bill is not, it's free? So basically, there's not enough impetus. And there's also once you set up a decentralized plant, you have to maintain it. And maintenance is easier said than done. So we got a water softener installed at our house some time back, and it's a hassle to maintain because someone has to actively maintain it every 2 weeks, and that's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not also something everybody can afford. So maybe the decentralized system is most required, in a slum where there is no sewage system, but can they afford it? No. Can it be provided at scale through a non-profit? Likely not. So what you design is community-based decentralized, where for one RWA, you create a few recharge pits where everybody gets their rainwater harvested. And that's where I think the soft spot lies. However, this at the end of the day is not based on opinion, it's based on technical calculation and feasibility. So what I'm telling you is opinion based on experience, but not fact.
Okay, thank you, Gunra. Now this question is both for Swati and Gujarat. Anyone can answer actually. With the new development plan going on in India right now, it may cause several environmental issues. How can an architect contribute to the earlier stage of development, or is there any provision of doing so, like through innovative ideas?
Sorry, what new development plan is Pragati talking about?
Yeah, Pragati, can you expand on that, please?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
The new developmental plan, as of like whatever the road making plans or any housing plans regarding that.
Okay, so you're talking about, I mean, just whenever a development plan is made, so development plans are made for different cities, for different rural areas, for road transport. So I'm going to maybe address the one for cities because that's where I work. So this is also what I was saying earlier. When the master plan for Delhi for 2041 was coming out, at that point, a few civil society organizations mobilized themselves to form a campaign. So I think the government makes development plans. They should be participatory, and I think around the world, more and more cities are moving towards making their development processes participatory. But it's not always participatory. In Delhi, for example, the Delhi Development Authority, when they make a master plan, they need to have a 3-month feedback time that you can file your objections or suggestions. However, in the past, when the master plans have been made, people have sent letters to the DDA, and those letters have been lying unopened, is what we have heard. And this time in 2021, when the master plan draft was being made, the DDA set up an online website. But there's a huge digital barrier in our country, right? And also the website needed you to have an email ID, etc. And not everyone has access to those. And so that's why it was important for us to make sure that, when the government says there's participation, there is really, truly participation. And that's why the campaign organized hundreds of consultations across the city, making sure the street vendors, the construction workers, the waste pickers, home-based workers, they're all also a part of these consultations. So the campaign became a bridge between the DDA, which was also being supported by NIUA, which is National Institute of Urban Affairs. So the campaign became a bridge between the planning authorities and the people on ground. And so I think these are the ways that we can hold the government accountable to processes. It is saying it is doing it, but maybe they're not being effectively done. So as civil society, what can we do? As regular residents of a city, what can we do? As architects, designers, what can we do? So if we are trained as designers, how can we use our design skills? And I really like what Gunrag said. Often we think if you're a designer, then design will solve all of the world's problems, but it will not. It is just one of the many, many things that is needed. And I think it's a big mistake to think that we can solve the problem only through design or only through architecture. But if we join hands with people from different backgrounds and realizing that maybe the most effective way is, maybe not like Gunrag said, not building hospitals, but training, doctors. So then who are the people you need to work with? And I think also going back to the previous question of scale also, I think there, if you're talking about scale, for me, the most important thing is identifying all your stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders directly or indirectly affected in this process? And then making sure what are the strategies to liaison, to reach out, to connect with each one of them. And they would be different, different strategies, different languages. And I think that's where a sort of a scale-up strategy comes from. That if I speak to, let's say, the MLA of my neighbor, of my area, or if I speak to, the let's say, the book club in the city, because I want to talk about creating more libraries. And I think reaching out to those people and creating different strategies at different levels, I think that is an effective way. So coming back to development plans, yeah, I think holding the government accountable. I mean, and there's so many. I think protest is a great form of exercising our democratic right. In Hyderabad, when the trees were being felled, and so many university students protested, and then there was a stay order. And even in Mumbai, I think for the coastal road, even though it has been built, but lots of citizens spoke up, wrote about it, urged the government. So sometimes these things work out, sometimes they don't. But I think it's very important we engage with these development processes, which need to be participatory. Hope that answers your question.
Yes,
Pragati.
hope that answers your questions, Pragati. Swati, we had a question for you earlier, that in social design, it's important to first build the right mindset before
Oh, yes, this
jumping
has
into
been
the
answered. Vaishnavi, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. Actually, I answered this. When I was
Okay,
saying,
okay.
don't worry
Yeah,
about
sorry.
scaling, and also Gunrag also reiterated that.
Yeah, sure.
But I think I have a different answer for how the question is being asked. I think many times people also want to jump into the design immediately, and then to those people I would say, hey, take a bit more time to research, like Gunrag was saying. Like, come on, I mean, some solid research is important. But I think the way Anahita, I think it was Anahita or someone
Yeah,
else who
and
framed. Okay, the way she framed that question, no, Anushka Shah. Yeah, I think the way she framed that question shows to me already that there's a lot of sensitivity that she
She's
has, and
working, she's an NIFT student doing her master's, and she's working on, in fact, universal accessibility. I think that's the girl, right?
Okay.
Vaishnavi, Anushka?
no, this was Anushka Shah, not Kulkarni. So she was
Oh,
from
not, okay.
yeah,
my bad.
yeah.
Okay.
She was
Okay,
from
okay.
Srishti School of Design.
Okay. So I would say, I mean, because of the language, because of the way she worded a question, I know that she's thinking about these things. She's already sensitive, to these issues. So I think for people who are in that space, I would say just go ahead and do it, and which is what I said. That there is no real, failure. I think the biggest failure is not doing something, not doing something about things you really deeply care about, not speaking up when you need to speak up. So yeah.
So it is open to questions now. If anyone wants to ask, they can unmute themselves and ask Swati or Kunal. I think that is it. All the audience actually have posted their questions, but there is one question from me also to Swati regarding that many participants and students who have participated are early career professionals. So, what would your advice be for someone who wants to work on urban equity or housing but doesn't know where to begin? Doesn't know where to begin for a social intervention or to create a social idea. So, what would your advice be for them?
Yeah, I was saying there are 2, 3 approaches. I think going back to what Geeta had said, I think one is, start from your own neighborhood. Look around. You don't need to go very far. Look around and see what are the things that you think, they affect you and you think they could be better. I think creativity is always also about, thinking how would you do things differently? What could be better here? So that is definitely one. And I think for that, it's just getting together with a few other people in your vicinity who feel the same and joining forces with them, talking to people, enrolling them, uh, you know. In a way, I mean, me speaking to you all is also a way of enrolling, all of you in this journey of social change. And that's what Geeta, Vaishnavi, all of you are trying to do. I think the other is following people who are already doing such work. You're inspired by them. You're inspired by the work they do. I think anytime there's an opportunity to work with them, to collaborate, with them, I think it's a good idea to reach out. And if they have the time and space as well, if they are also able to work with you. So I think that is another way. And I think be on the lookout for spaces and collectives and groups which are trying to do similar things. So I think more and more sort of research, social media actually is a great place for research. I realize it's very easy to find like-minded people. So I think calling them up, shooting them an email. Well, I think in today's times, no one calls anyone anymore. I think everything is, text, but okay, maybe try that. Sometimes cold calling works. Just calling someone out of the blue. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work. It's okay. You try different things. So I think, and the third way. So one is like, connecting with someone who's already doing the kind of work you want to do. One was starting at your own sort of local neighborhood level. And the third is just finding people who are thinking about the same issue, but I mean, let's say at a city level. So for example, when I was thinking about cycling tracks, I thought about who I could reach out to, and it was a Delhi Cycling Club, right? So for example, and so similarly, I mean, if you're thinking about something at a city level or at a larger, sort of a geographic area level, and who are the people who might be impacted by that idea that you're thinking about, who might like it might work for them, who are interested in it. And I think the idea is to reach out to them and get talking, because as an architect, I said, sorry, as a designer, you are a catalyst, you're a facilitator. And I think we're really good at connecting the dots. As designers, we're really good at seeing, oh, what if this moved here? And what if this person, got together with this person? And I think that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, thank you, Swati and Gunrag. I think that is it for the questions for today. Thank you, both of you, for giving such an inspirational talk and enlightening us at the introduction of design impact. I'm sure the participants, students, and everyone who had joined in really liked it and will take inspiration from this. Also, thank you for the thoughtful questions and for being such an engaged audience today. Whoever was present. Also, I would like to thank specific colleges that are actually live streaming today these sessions in their classrooms and their auditoriums. That is D.Y. Patil Kolhapur, IPS Academy, then Pillu Modi College of Architecture, the Ashok Jerome College of Architecture, Dayanand Sagar Academy of Architecture and Management, lovely professional university who is screening in different locations. Satyabama University, Sri University, Andhra University, Chennai College and AMS College of Architecture, Thakur College of Architecture. And if I've missed out anyone, we'll surely include you and recognize you on our platform, so you don't have to worry. Also, as we bring this session to a close, we invite each one of you, whether you are a student, educator, professional, or simply someone passionate about making a difference, to carry this conversation forward in your own circles and communities. We will be sharing the Design Impact Movement registration details with you via email. Please do share it widely and encouraging young innovators who would go ahead and become someone like Swati and Gunrag, and support them as they shape their ideas into meaningful solutions. We are excited to work alongside of all of you for the few months ahead. Let's build a movement of design that truly creates change together. Thank you once again for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks, Swati.